Hello, everyone. Greetings from Madrid, and welcome back to our webinar series in Conversation With. Today, we are diving in a discussion with Bucuti and Tara Beach Resort in Aruba, talking about their efforts to embrace climate action with carbon neutrality and beyond. I am Virginia Fernandez-Trapa, Program Coordinator in the Sustainable Development of Tourism Department of the World Tourism Organization, and I'm very happy to be your host again. I'd like to thank my colleague, Roxana Astari, for the support to prepare this session. And of course, thank our guest, Mr. Ewald Biemans, owner and CEO of Bucuti and Tara, for being with us today. Welcome, Ewald. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So before we dive into your climate action work, Ewald, can you please tell us just a bit about Bucuti and Tara Beach Resort for those who don't know about it? How long has it been operating and how big is it? Just a few details.
Okay. Well, I'm Ewald Biemans. I'm the owner and CEO of Bucuti and Tara Beach Resort in Aruba. I live on the island already over 60 years. And I founded Bucuti and Tara Beach Resort 37 years ago. And it has become one of the leading hotels in terms of sustainability. We are certified 3 ways and are working hard to make sure that we take care of nature, take care of our main source of income, which is nature. And in other words, without our nature that we offer here in Aruba, we would not have any tourists left. So I find it very important that we preserve what we have for future generations. So here I am, very grateful for this interview.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Ewald. You briefly mentioned that the resort is certified. I understand this carbon neutral certification. Can you share with us a bit about this certification? Why did you decide to take this path?
Well, first of all, I need to say this. I love nature and I love animals, and I'm basically a farmer. I grew up on a farm, and I came to Aruba about over 60 years ago. And at that time, tourism was in its infancy. We had hardly any tourists. Most of them were here visiting during the day on a cruise ship. And at that time, Aruba switched from a refinery to tourism because the refinery actually closed down. And we saw then the expansion of tourism on a pristine island. And over the years, we saw the damage created by the influx of people. We brought in about 40,000 foreign workers to man the hotels that were being built over the last 30 years. We saw a degradation of our nature in terms of trash, discarded materials along the roads, illegal dumps on the island. And we started at that time already to see what we can do to clean up the island, first of all. And but then I participated in the 1993 Rio conference. I think it was a COP conference, or at least it was the beginning of that. And during that conference, it became actually clear to me that the damage to the environment is global. It's not just in Aruba. And shortly thereafter, I joined an organization called Green Globe. They were the first body that was actually able to certify a hotel. And this was in 1993, and it took us about 3 years to get, or 3 or 4 years to get certified. We certified first Green Globe. And why did we certify? Well, because we needed actually a roadmap. Actually, we needed a system that would help us address the different aspects of a sustainability program. And Green Globe offered that in certain sense. Green Globe is very heavily tipped towards the social and the community aspects of sustainability, and so eventually we looked at other certifications like ISO 14001. We certified ISO 14001, and eventually, because of the tour operators in Europe that demanded that the hotels that they deal with have some form of a sustainability program, we also certified Travel Life. Once we had these 3 certifications under our belt, it was rather easy to go a step further. But in the meantime, I also developed I expanded my resort by 41 suites. And at that time, when we were planning these suites, I looked at LEED, which is the American standard of building, and I liked what I saw. They are really addressing energy savings. They're addressing light, noise, and sound and air quality. And so we actually made sure that our extension complied with LEED standards. Once we had that done and we got certified LEED standard, we actually retrofitted the older building and became also LEED compliant. And together we were able to then become LEED Gold. Once we had these certifications all lined up, and we every year we did the audits and we complied with the demands of the different certifications. It was a step, a real rather easy step to become carbon certified, carbon neutral. And that's what we did in 2018. And upon that certification or on that accomplishment, we actually got your award on climate action in 2020, I think, or 21 it was. So this is how we got here where we are today. And I hope that helps others that are listening to this to kind of embrace a certification, and because it helps you develop the different areas that are very important to sustainability.
Thanks, Ewald. Quite a journey, and very interesting if we look at it from the point of view of Glasgow Declaration, right? Which was also, let's say, born with the vocation of providing a roadmap for those wanting to look at climate action in tourism. Do you see links between what Glasgow Declaration is proposing and the certifications that you work with? For example, are the pathways of Glasgow somehow reflected in these certifications, measurement, decarbonization, regeneration, collaboration, finance? Is there a connection that you see there, Ewald?
They are one and the same. It is actually if you follow the Glasgow Declaration and you have any of the certifications under your belt, you are actually already there. Now, how far you want to go is up to the individual. One of the hurdles might be investments. Some entities have a bit of a problem financing certain energy conservation methods, but the whole program, the Glasgow Declaration, and any of the certification of recognized certifications in the world actually mesh almost perfectly. So I would really encourage all the hoteliers, and I think you also qualified us as an example to the hotel industry, because we are actually duplicable, and our program is scalable to any size of the hotel. So I encourage everybody to join us and in our journey to a better world of tomorrow. Thanks
again, Ewald. Actually, we see how I mean, or we wish that certifications could help us accelerate somehow the implementation of Glasgow Declaration, because as you know, we have some certifications also on board as signatories, and we really see the amazing work that they are doing. So hopefully we can synergize a bit further in the year 2024. Well, you have also, as part of your commitment to Glasgow Declaration, submitted your climate action plan. Thanks for that. Could you share a bit with the colleagues connected today? What actions did you put in the plan, and how did you decide or define which actions you wanted to include there?
Well, as I said before, we recertify both LEED, Green Globe, and carbon neutral this year. And we are actually we are already certified carbon neutral. We are in the process of finalizing Green Globe, and our LEED certification has already been done. And in addition to that, so for these certifications, we had to set certain goals. And our action plan for 2023 was as follows. We wanted to decrease our electric consumption by a further 10% independent from the grid. In addition to all the savings that we have actually accumulated over the years by implementing either solar or solar water heaters, or reducing the amount of energy used by equipment, or by, for instance, air conditioner, which is about 65%, cooling is about 65% of our energy consumption, and it's the biggest cost. We also looked at decreasing our water usage by another 5%. As you know, or as you probably don't know, Aruba does not have any natural sources of water. We need to distill seawater by either distilling it or by reverse osmosis to serve our customers, to survive, to water our gardens. And so it is a very expensive commodity. It is actually gold in terms of cost and in terms of availability. And so we decided to decrease our water consumption by another 5%. We also tried to decrease our CO2 emissions by another 10% compared to 21 and 22 through various means. For instance, we have a full program of reductions, including the elimination of beef from our menu, except one item. The reduction of methane emissions because of our recycling efforts, and our reduction of waste that we have implemented. And so then the other goal was to go from LEED Gold to LEED Platinum, and we are in the process of being audited for that. The other step that we did is to recertify carbon neutral, Green Globe and Travel Life, which I already mentioned. And we also set a goal to reduce, or actually to encourage our visitors to offset their travel. In other words, the goal was to find at least 5% of our visitors to offset their travel. In other words, we offer a carbon neutral stay for our visitors. They actually have a guilt-free, emission-free stay with us if they come for a week, but they have to fly in. And flying in is obviously a bit of a problem. And so we encourage them to offset these emissions that they emit while flying in. There's a good thing: while they are traveling to Aruba and while they're staying with us, they have no emissions at home, or very little emissions. So one thing makes up a little bit for the other. And the other thing that we are working on very seriously, we have a program for our staff. We try to encourage them to commute carbon neutral. We are financing for them electric cars, electric bikes, electric motorcycles, and we of course encourage carpooling to those that come at the same time and come from the same area of the city. So these are about the 5, 6, 7 steps that we have taken during 2023, or we are completing this year. we had a very ambitious goal to reach carbon zero or net zero by the year 2023, and we have not been successful in doing that for many reasons. Or for let me enumerate a little bit. And I don't know if you wish me to go into that area right now, or if
yes,
you
please.
have any.
I think
Okay.
it would be super interesting for the colleagues after having listened your impressive targets, especially taking into account that you're talking about additional percents because of the efforts already implemented. So it's quite impressive and illustrative. I have a few questions, but let's leave them for the end, not to break the flow. Please tell us about the net zero in 2023 and how has it been challenging? Okay, well, we are, first of all, we established about 2 years ago a nature preserve. It's about 30 to 33 acres of pristine Aruban land, maintained as original as possible. It's hundreds of year-old forests of cacti and watapana and cuiji trees, all nature, all indigenous plants from here. And there was a part of the park that was actually used for agriculture in the past, and we are right now reforesting that. And one of the things that a net zero certification demands is that, for instance, this nature preserve is certified. And we find, and then the trees that we are planting need to be analyzed and certified as well as carbon reducing material. And we find a problem finding a certifying body. There are certain certifying bodies in the world that could certify somebody net zero, but they are dealing with major corporations. They're dealing with forests, huge forests or land masses that are reserved for regeneration of CO2. But we have not been able to find a body that can certify a small hotel or a small 33-acre nature preserve. So there is where we are a bit stuck at this moment. Okay, we also sorry,
yes.
Go ahead, please continue.
Yeah, we also at the present are expanding our solar plant or solar or photovoltaic arrays. We were producing about 20% of our internal consumption through our photovoltaic arrays, but we wanted to expand it, and we had a serious problem expanding it because of a lack of permits. We have now been able to finally add another, or we're in the process of adding another 20% of our own production or solar production. The other thing that we were banking on is the expansion of the wind park, or the wind turbine park in Aruba, where we were already purchasing about 20% of the energy from them, and we were buying offsets from them, a certain amount. And that wind park has not materialized. They have not expanded. And so we are short of that amount of energy that we were planning in incorporating into this year. The other, so these are some of the stumbling blocks that actually did not allow us to achieve net zero for 2024. So for 2023, but we are on step for achieving that in 2024. So we're working hard, and we are almost practically sure that we will achieve it in 2024.
That's amazing, Ewald. I guess you are facing challenges because you are ahead of the curve. So basically, you couldn't even find a certifier that was ready to certify you. It's really amazing and inspiring, really. And please keep us posted of the progress, because I really think many colleagues in the industry are still thinking about certification, carbon neutral certification. So having someone leading the way on how we could in the future look at net zero certification is very useful for everybody. How about climate positive? Have you also looked into this? Because you were mentioning.
See, net zero is the first step. If you achieve net zero, then to become carbon positive is actually not that difficult. The one of the hindrances is that scope 3 of the certificate, you have scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 in the certification realm. Scope 1 and 2 easily accomplish, or if you follow scope 1 and 2, you easily become net carbon neutral. To become net zero, you have to go into scope 3, and scope 3 does not allow, for instance, any offsets. You really have to cut back your emissions and produce alternative energy to offset that scope 3. I give you a couple of examples here. For instance, our total emissions for 2022 were 1,468 metric tons. Of the 1,400, or say 1,500 metric tons, 1,100 metric tons are emitted because of our energy consumption. Again, the air conditioning and cooling is a major issue on a tropical island like Aruba, and it demands so much energy that energy that you consume emits these carbons, and to offset these, you actually have to practically go 100% solar, or if you don't have 100% solar, you need wind and external solar power that you can purchase. And then you have to address, for instance, by means of reforestation and other savings that you can achieve by totally going, say, for instance, electric cars. We purchased a whole fleet of electric cars, and we are financing electric cars for employees as well as bikes and motorbikes, so that they also offset, because part of the certification is also your staff, even including our executives that travel for sales and marketing. All these travel emissions need to be accounted for, and they need to be offset naturally, not by buying offsets. So it is to become carbon positive, you need to become net zero and go another additional step. So in that sense, I think we are a few years off still after experiencing the setbacks that we have experienced so far.
Of course, it doesn't only depend on you, right? It's the energy mix and other factors that are a bit, let's say, beyond our control, unfortunately, as an industry in many cases. But I think we've analyzed many levels of the progress that you have achieved. Let's maybe move on into the questions and answers. But before we do that, Ewald, for those that are listening who are starting, what would be your recommendation? Where would they start from? What would be the most
I would recommend that they embrace one of the certifications, whether it is Green Key or Green Globe or ISO 14000, or even especially those that are developing or redeveloping or remodeling facilities, hotels and similar, that they embrace LEED certification. Because once you adhere to these principles and to these steps, you are actually well on the way to become net zero. And once you're at a net zero level, with some additional investments and a lot of work and a lot of savings, you can actually then become net zero. So carbon neutral, actually, what I meant to say, you become carbon neutral, and then the additional steps to become net zero are hard work, but they're achievable. So it is recommendable that anybody looks at certifications, especially if they're developing or redeveloping a property, that they look at LEED or similar standards. I guess in Europe there's a different name for it, but they're all about the same standards, which emphasize energy conservation, sound, light, quality of air, and of course nature itself, the conservation of it.
Thank you for that recommendation. Let's open the floor to our audience. Dear colleagues, do you have any questions for Ewald? Please raise your hand and we will give you the floor. I can't see any questions. I actually have one question, Ewald, if you allow me.
Yes. Yes.
So you were mentioning the establishment of the nature reserve, and I'm wondering, were you able to already measure how much carbon is sequestered by those trees?
No, we are in the process right now. The University of Aruba and another body is busy right now analyzing, because they are not common trees. Aruba has a very different nature. Our trees are very, because there's hardly any rainfall. Our trees are very hardy, they're very heavy, and very slow growing. And we are trying to reforest it with natural, local, indigenous vegetation. And there is nobody that really has done a study of the carbon capture. We call the nature preserve or carbon sink, but we really don't know yet what our reforestation effort will produce in terms of carbon capture. And so it is. Right now we are being helped by the University of Aruba. There's some experts there, and there's another body that I don't recall at this moment, but they are analyzing right now our vegetation that we are planting, and that is already available on the nature preserve. And hopefully by the next say 3-4 months, we have a little bit more of an indication of what we can expect to look at in terms of carbon capture.
Extremely interesting. Thank you. I see there's a colleague with a question. Shivya from Climate Conscious, please, the floor is yours. Kindly introduce yourself maybe in one sentence so we know who you are.
Sure. Hi, Virginia. I'm Shivya. I run a consultancy called Climate Conscious Travel, where the goal is really to work with the tourism industry in accelerating climate action. And so it's been really interesting to hear what you and your team have been able to achieve. I have a lot of questions for you, but maybe I can start with one, which is that for the carbon neutral certification, I'm assuming that it includes Scope 3 emissions. And I'm curious to know what percentage of that is based on offsets.
Carbon neutral does not include 3.
All right, so it's only based on Scope 1 and Scope 2.
Yes, Scope 1 and 2 is for carbon neutral. If you want to go to net zero, you need to embrace Scope 3, which is rather it is much more complicated and also intense in terms of investment. But investments are only there's a payback period, and I would also recommend people look at investments as a very wonderful method of recapturing the investment in a very short period of time. So yes, Scope 3 is extra work, and it is a bit painful in our sense that we have some limitations because of government limitations or government inaction, or because financing for certain things like the wind turbine farm that was going to be expanded by about 50% actually. The financing fell through, and so there is a delay there. So it is a recommendable action to go through scope 3, but it will take patience and also financial efforts.
I think after this one we really have to wrap up.
Yes.
Thank you, Silvia, for your intervention. It is from Thais de Groot. I think it's a lady. She says, are other accommodations on the island taking similar actions? If not, which barriers do you see? Oh, it's a man, sorry.
Okay, there are some hotels that are certified Green Globe. All the hotels are certified Travel Life, because otherwise they would not be able to deal with some of the European tour operators. And if they want that business, they have to certify Travel Life. There are issues with some of the branded hotels, and I can name them: Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott, and so forth. They have their so-called internal sustainability programs, but I don't think there's any audits. There is no certifications, and these major hotels do represent a bit of an issue, because the implementation of their sustainability programs sometimes depends on the manager, whether he believes in it or whether he doesn't believe in it. It is a very cumbersome system. So in general, I would say yes, there are a group of hotels that are really eager and on board, and there are many of the existing hotels, which are the major hotels, that are lagging behind, and we hope to get them. We've seen interest from them. We have given presentations to Barceló, which is a Spanish chain, and they have embraced the program. We just recently had a presentation for the Hyatt Aruba. We work very closely with the airport, who is now working towards carbon neutral. They are already Green Globe certified. And so we are encouraging, and we are leading groups of students and university students and technical students. They come up practically every week through our hotel and see what we do. And we try to be an example to the community, and hopefully we succeed. And it looks good. It looks promising. I cannot tell you exactly what the results will be, but it looks very promising.
Thanks, Ewald. Thais, you want to react to that?
I'm not sure.
Sorry for the confusion before.
No problem. My son was walking around here, so I didn't want to use the video and microphone immediately. But thanks for the opportunity to ask the question, and also thanks, Ewald, for the explanation that you gave. So yeah, very clear, and I'm happy that you have the feeling that it's a bigger movement and that it's moving in the right direction. So thanks for sharing.
Yes, again. Thank you.
Thank you, Thais. Which is your organization, if I may ask?
I work for the Netherlands Board of Tourism. So we are, and I'm within the team that's focusing on destination development, and then within that, I focus on sustainability. So that's why I'm here.
Excellent, and also a signatory of Glasgow. So nice to have you up here. Okay, I think with this we're going to wrap up. We are a bit over time, but it was so interesting. As you can see, Ewald never stops. He always has interesting stories to tell, and always pioneering, hoping that all of us will follow suit. So thanks, Ewald, really for sharing your journey. Your dedication is really inspiring, and I hope that the others agree with me that you are a great example to follow. So thank you everyone for being connected. I hope it's been an interesting conversation, and hope to see you again in our next series in 2024. Thank you.
And just one more point. Perhaps anybody wants to know our total program. I have a Canva presentation for about 9 or 10 minutes. I'm willing to share it with anybody who wants to know what we do exactly. It gives a step-by-step presentation of what we do methodically in the hotel.
Thank you so much, Ewald. We will transport any requests that we receive to you. And yes, very much appreciated that you are so transparent, sharing with us all the progress. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, colleagues.
Thank you.
Bye. See you soon.
Thank you.